What's up, y'all? It's your boy Rajay Perkins back with another video. And in this video, we're gonna do a low taper with waves, okay? First thing first, you need to make sure your client hair is washed and is dry. You can't work on a dirty canvas, so that's gonna affect your cut. So first thing you wanna do is clean the hair. Right here, I'm just combing out the hair, lifting the hair out the scalp, and I'm gonna go in with a number 2 to start off the cut with the grain. For all my beginner barbers out there, one thing you need to do, and it's imperative that you have the comb in your hand at all times. You have your clipper, but your comb needs to be in your hand at all times, combing through the hair. And right here, you can see me combing through my client's crown, just trying to see which direction the hair grows. I usually keep this area on the head maybe a half guard above what I'm using on the rest of the head because it's easy to patch up, so you must be very, very careful. And right here to start off the taper, I go on my first ball guideline on my Babyliss. I do this on the left, right, then the back. Just get a routine so you know what you're doing, you know how to attack the cut. And here I go on my wall seniors, going up about a ½ inch with the lever all the way open. Then I work my way down, just halfway closed, and then all the way closed, just trying to get that ball guideline out. And then I go in, just try to debulk that line so it's not a heavy line with my 1.5, just so it's not a big line, a big guideline created when I start this taper. You can see your blend come together when you debulk it. It's kind of hard to fade into a bunch of bulk, so that's what I'm doing here with my 1.5. Still debulking, I'm going in with my 2 guard, just flicking out. I'm not laying the blade flat. It may look like I'm laying the blade flat, but I'm flicking out. Just trying not to create guidelines and have that taper come together. And here I go in with my 0 guard all the way closed, kind of flicking out that bottom of the line. I'm really never ever just putting in hard guidelines, but flicking out, having that C motion. I'm working in sections here because of the way I'm standing, but I'm gonna start with this left side and then work with the right side. I switch to my 1 and I open up all the way, just flicking at that bottom line. With this hair texture, it's kind of easy to get out that darkness, but I'm flicking out with the 1 open. I'm gonna work my way down into it. Just playing with the lever, just trying to work out that bottom dark spot in the bottom of this taper. Here I go in with my 1.5, still flicking out. It's a tedious process, but you got to do that in order to get that perfect blend. Same steps on the right side, going in with my 0 all the way closed and opening up, flicking it out. Then I'm gonna go behind it with my 1, trying to clip that dark spot in the middle of his taper. And then I really kind of like wall and Babyliss guards because that 1.5 allows you to work the in-between. Don't take off a lot, but it really gets in the creases. Here I go on my number 2, just flicking out behind the ear. This can really create a good illusion in the fade when you're trying to debulk behind the ear because it just flows together. You'll see when I put the line in a minute, but you really want to make sure behind the ear is clean because that's really going to separate your cut when you put that line in there. Right here, I go on my first guideline, lever all the way open. I create like a rainbow type of guideline because I want that burst taper to really pop out. I go on my lever all the way closed, trying to eliminate that bottom line. Then I open it up about halfway, trying not to go too high. Here I go in with my 1.5 all the way closed, just kind of flicking out, trying to debulk. I promise you it makes the fade and the taper that much easier when you debulk because it's not fading into a lot of hair. Then here I go in with my 0 all the way closed, just flicking out. Then I'll open it up, just trying to work the in-between game. I'm really flicking out, so it might not make sense, but I promise you if you flick out, you're not creating guidelines, it's gonna come out smooth. Then here I go in with my 1 all the way open, flicking out, Not creating guidelines, just trying to debulk and trying to make it easy on me and not create guidelines. I do not create guidelines unless I'm doing really a ball fade. Here I go with my 2, debulking. Debulking is important. Flicking out and debulking. You want to use that wrist. Everything should be a C motion. I'm flicking out, it's the 2. I'm closing it up. Just trying to make sure I'm not creating guidelines. Another thing about your tapering your fades also that can help you is working down on the fade, coming back down on it. It can definitely eliminate a lot of darkness and a lot of bulk in your fades and your tapers. And here I go with number 2, just still debulking, closing lever just a tad bit, flicking out still, trying to work that fade behind the ear, just trying to make sure it's contoured to the taper so it's not too dark. Sometimes when you got a client that wear glasses, it may leave like a line, but I just want to make sure that the taper was clean before I moved on to the next step. Here I comb through the hair, starting at the bottom to create that perfect C cup. Not digging in too much. When you dig in too much, it can create like a line on his head. Just try to keep it natural because it's very easy to push this C cup back, so you want to keep it natural. Same on the back, you don't want to dig in too much. Hold your clipper at a 45-degree angle. My clippers are never too sharp, so I know I don't have to dig in to cut the hair. Remember, you want to cut the hair, not the skin. And right here on the right side, it's the same exact steps. As a barber, you have to be symmetrical. Even if it's not a perfect canvas, you have to make it look like it's the same. That's what great barbers know how to work on, different canvases, uneven lines, cowlicks, different type of textures. So just same steps, man, but go in with my lever all the way open, clean it up, play with the lever, go on my 1.5, debulk. I'm debulking, I'm flicking out, not creating guidelines. I don't like to create guidelines. And most of my tapers and my fades, flicking out, you know, this is just a debulking process. Here I go in with my 0 all the way closed, flicking out still, and I'm gonna open up all the way. Trying to flick out that line, not creating guidelines. Here I go on with number 2, still flicking out, just debulking, still making the taper and your fade much easier when you debulk, when you're not fading into a bunch of bulk. So that's all I'm doing here, flicking out, not laying the blade flat. Coming behind that with my 1.5 all the way open, flicking out, then I'm gonna work my way down. When you debulk, man, I promise you, it's gonna make the taper, your fades that much easier to come together. You can really see the taper and your fades coming together when you debulk. So it's not like a big impossible mission to get the taper done. When you're almost done with your fades and your taper, make sure you come down on the hair because the hair has been lifted up. So you come down on it to smooth it out. That's another form of debulk when you come down on it to make that taper and your fade come together. Same thing, man, just try to keep this C cup as natural as possible. It's one of the first things to grow back when your client leaves, man. So you wanna make sure it's a natural C cup. This really makes your haircut stand out, man, when you have a great C cup. On the back of the neck, you don't wanna apply too much pressure, man. You don't wanna irritate them or nick the client, man, because it's an easy area to nick up. So you really want to be sensitive. You want to cut the hair, not the skin, man. To start off the lining, make sure you want to comb, man. It's important. I go in with my holding spray just to lock in the hair. Start in the middle, work side to side. You can see I'm just getting the hairs to hang over the lining, man. You really want to keep it natural and your client appreciate it. I'm not applying too much pressure with the lining. I'm letting the clipper do the work, not my hand. You don't want to apply too much pressure because you'll nick the client. With the lining, man, you really gotta observe to see if you have any cowlicks, low spots, high spots, if it's naturally slanted. You need to consult your client to see how you like it, but I'm not applying too much pressure, just getting the hairs that hang over the lining. For all my beginning barbers out there, just some advice. You don't need all the enhancements, man. You see I'm giving a good natural haircut, and then I'll go in adding color. If you first starting off, man, put the enhancements down, put the pencils down, learn how to give a great haircut with just your clippers, your razors, a holding spray. I promise you it's gonna develop your skills without having to hide all the mistakes and trying to keep up with the trends. Now, before I add color and all the enhancements and stuff, I look at the haircut, make sure it's good and natural, make this clean so my client know what he's getting after the color comes off. Here I go in with a light enhancement to the corners. I only enhance in the places where it's needed just to give that picture perfect cut. I'm not going in, the enhancements is not making a haircut. I already gave him a great haircut, just giving him a tad bit of color so I can make it pop. Shout out to Hunter Barber, y'all see the card. But anyway, go in, clean up the line up, added my enhancements, clean up his facial hair. The cut is coming out great. Just doing some cleanup work right here. I'm going in with my razor, not digging in too much in the skin, pulling the skin tight. I like to go in on a C cup, going down on it. Then I go in on my liners, just clean up any hairs that were sticking up, just to polish the cut, man. It's gonna separate yourself. Having the hairs all laid down, having the hairs all flush, really just detailing your work after you're done. And here I'm just going in, like I said, just detail work, man. You want to make sure it's picture perfect before he gets out the chair, man, because in our shop, we look at haircuts. So if we notice something on you, we definitely gonna tell you. Here I go in just with some coconut oil just to make the hair pop, give it that nice shine. Not adding too much. Don't have my boy out here greased up in the summer heat. Just adding some coconut oil, man, so he can pop. And that cut is coming out fire, like for real. But YouTube, that's the cut, man. I appreciate you guys watching, sitting through this video. Hope you guys like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe.